Diese Sendung wird Ihnen präsentiert von Rotary International. Service above self.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Sendung von AhornTV. Hier die Themen dieser Woche.
Coming up this week on AhornTV, we're in Langley, BC to visit the Critter Care Wildlife Society. Officer Falke introduces us to the Community Police Centre in Vancouver, and Katja De Bock tours the Van Dusen Botanical Gardens. All coming up this week on AhornTV.
We've got 100 raccoons, we've got 30 odd skunks, I have about 16 possums, 2 squirrels, 7 river otters, 5 fawns, 2 coyotes, 4 bears. 3 of them are left over from last year. We had 16 that we wintered, the most we've ever had. Now, a few rules. Follow my hat. If you don't see my hat, I'm lost. Okay? Keep your fingers out of the cages. Everything's done by donation. And our supplies tend to run low. We're short on fingers. Be quiet, please, because they are wild animals. And that's basically it. If you're taking photographs, please step back and let people see. Okay, let's go take a look at our favorite animals, the skunks. Get special food. I picked up 2 baby raccoons, about 3 weeks in Queensborough. They have the better.
So how old is the baby?
2 months old.
Yeah.
Super.
Underground, she loves the trees. 10 years ago, just out of town, I was walking down the road and found what she thought was a house cat. So I
Liebe Kanada-Freunde, herzlich willkommen bei AhornTV, eurem deutschen Fernsehprogramm hier in Kanada. Wir präsentieren Infothemen vom Feinsten, unter anderem Sportsevents, grüne Themen oder auch aus der Welt der Kunst und Kultur. Unsere Sendung richtet sich an alle Deutschsprechenden in Kanada und an alle Kanada-Interessierte im deutschsprachigen Raum. Alter spielt dabei keine Rolle. Unsere Show läuft einmal die Woche plus eine Wiederholung auf dem Free-TV-Sender Omni Television. Omni wird von 16,5 Millionen Einwohnern empfangen. Das ist die Hälfte der Einwohner von Kanada. Außerdem könnt ihr unsere Sendung auch im Internet anschauen unter AhornTV.com. Und wir sind natürlich auf Twitter, YouTube und Facebook vertreten. Dort könnt ihr auch jederzeit eure Ratings und Kommentare abgeben. Und wir freuen uns natürlich über jeden neuen Fan. Also dann, tschüss und viel Spaß beim Anschauen.
Ja, hallo liebe Zuschauer, da bin ich wieder, Ihr Officer Falke. Heute möchte ich Ihnen etwas über die Arbeit der Vancouver Polizei erzählen und in ganz besonderer unserer freiwilligen Mitarbeiter. Die Vancouver Polizei hat einige CPCs, Community Policing Centers. Die sind in der ganzen Stadt verteilt. Eine hier ist an der Granville Street in der Downtown Vancouver. Und ich möchte Ihnen mehr in Einzelheiten die CPC vorstellen, aber gehen wir doch erstmal rein. What's the mandate of the CPC?
We have to serve the community. What that means is if they have it's an outreach program. So if anything is, we have a community policing day, we'll just reach out to the community. If they have a problem, they can come to us. And our NPO, Neighborhood Patrol Officer, might help you. Also, we do a lot of foot patrols, bike patrols, in the park, around the seawall, and also we go in the parkades, advising people to be careful when they are parking their cars, don't leave anything valuable in the cars.
How many volunteers do you have currently?
We have around 55 volunteers, and they have a commitment for 1 year to volunteer with us. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them will want to become a police officer, either with the Vancouver Police Department or RCMP or other police agencies. So that is their, purpose.
What are the requirements to become a volunteer? Like, how are you screening the volunteers?
The first phase, when they come in, they have to complete an application form, and I just check them out. And then my question is always, why do you want to volunteer? Question, and the answer is most, I want to become a police officer, and that's good to know. And then Romy, our NPO, she's Constable Romy Matu, and she's doing the record check, finalize it. When they get it from the criminal background check, they come back to her, and then she checks them out again, and then she discusses with me if the person is okay.
What of the programs are you running or organizing here with the CPC?
Right now I'm working on a vehicle crime initiative. Where with the help of about 50 volunteers in the area, we visit areas in the downtown core that people park, and we do an education program where we remind vehicle owners to be extra vigilant in protecting their vehicles. Both counter theft of auto and theft from auto program. So what we do is take a look at the vehicles and issue reminders if people have left valuables in their vehicle and that sort of stuff.
The number one thing here is we have fantastic volunteers who are the backbone of what this office does. We wouldn't be here without our volunteers. The amount of time, the amount of energy, the amount of enthusiasm and initiative that they show in all the projects we do. We have so many programs. We have a graffiti program, we have stolen autos program, Safe Bikes Patrol, Foot Patrol. They're just pivotal in running this CPC, and my part is just to give them the tools to make what they do that much more effective. So I'd like to actually take this opportunity to thank all the volunteers who do work out of every CPC and just let them know how much they are appreciated.
Psst, hier wird gearbeitet. Hier wollte ich nur noch mal zeigen, dass auch das Community Policing Center im Prinzip ein Büro ist, wo unsere Polizisten der VPD ihre Berichte schreiben können von Tatvorhergängen und anderen Kleinigkeiten, die in der Stadt so täglich anliegen. So that's the beat usually you're taking on Granville Street?
Yeah, we usually come down and just kind of loop around. Present a presence so the community knows that we're out here. So if they have any concerns or problems like that, they can come to us and make suggestions for them or try to help them solve certain problems like that. Also, us being a force out on the streets, especially with our uniforms on, can act as well as a deterrent for some people. So if they see us when we patrol parkades or problem areas, it may, deter them from committing certain crimes, whether it be breaking into vehicles, vandalism, things like that. In public areas, whether it be like a park that we're going to head towards down here, sometimes it could be an area where homeless people kind of like to hang out. People are seen, using drugs and whatnot there, or drinking late at night.
Emery Barnes Park, in der Downtown, ganz klar, wo so viele Leute wohnen hier in Vancouver. Wenn sich dort Leute abends treffen, in den Parks nachts, normalerweise die Parks sind geschlossen nachts für die Öffentlichkeit, aber wir haben öfters Leute, die hierher kommen mit Alkohol und Drogen und diese auch hier konsumieren. Und naja, das bewirkt, dass wir schon einige Probleme manchmal haben. Speziell eben Lärm, Streitigkeiten und Müllverschmutzung. Ne? So, wenn die Freiwilligen der VPD CPC hier vorbeikommen, die werden dann die Leute daraufhin anreden und die stellen sich vor als VPD CPC. Und hier haben sie hier die Jacken Granville CPC Volunteer. Und normalerweise wird das schon erkannt bei den Leuten, die hier eben diesen Lärm verursachen, weil das sind meistens immer die gleichen Straftäter, sagen wir mal. Ne? So, und wenn natürlich jetzt das kein Erfolgsresultat eben verspricht, dann wird mal schnell 911 angerufen und ja, dann kommt ein Streifenwagen vorbei und der starke Arm der VPD muss dann halt für Ruhe und Ordnung sorgen.
Mr. Van Dusen?
Well, I came here 4 years ago to Vancouver, to this garden, Van Dusen Botanical Garden, and I thought, oh, maybe Mr. Van Dusen was someone like my father. Let's say, old Dutch guy who likes flowers. Well, it turns out Mr. Van Dusen was a lumberman who was very big in the lumber company Macmillan Bloedel. He was a vice president. He gave money originally to have this garden started, and I still didn't know where Mr. Van Dusen had come from, but I have since found out he goes back to the 1600s, to New Amsterdam, and his people have been here for a long, long time.
Harry, as a garden director of the Van Dusen Botanical Garden, are you a manager or is your work also hands-on?
Well, I do put my hands in the ground from time to time, but I'm really not supposed to. It's something I can't help but do. If I see a weed, I bend over and I get it, but really, I'm probably running from meetings to meetings when I find myself pulling a weed in between. It is very much a managerial job, and I probably got my job because of my background in garden design. And yet, even there, I have such excellent staff here. I can delegate that. I find myself very much involved in the business side of things, and I'm very fortunate to have excellent staff in all areas. So,
how much staff do you have here? How many gardeners, for instance, and how many scientists do you have that work here?
Well, we have 8 gardeners for 55 acres. That's not a lot. We do have some summer extra help. I would certainly like to have more, but the times being what they are, you make do with the resources you have. The garden does have 1,600 volunteers. This is what really makes our garden stand out in the world of botanical gardens. 1,600 volunteers. You can do a lot with volunteers. I would think that more and more we are looking for a style of gardening that is more sustainable. We're all concerned about water consumption, about maintaining healthy soil. We're not going to maintain healthy soil by overuse of chemical fertilizers, pesticides and such things. We're all showing greater sensitivity to that. And here in our garden, we're really devoted to sustainability in ways that we couldn't have imagined even 10 years ago.
Like for example?
Well, look at our new visitor center. It's no surprise that we have I would say maybe the greenest building in Canada. Just a couple of weeks ago, CNN rated us one of the 8 greenest buildings in North America. Well, that's pretty cool. And I happened to be at a conference with my peers at the time, and I could kind of say, hey folks, look at this. It's nice to be able to point to that. Years ago, we wouldn't have thought this way, but more and more, botanical gardens are so concerned with, so focused on maintaining healthy ecosystems. If you look back 25 and more years ago, botanical gardens were focused on plants. And I'll say specimens, like, isn't that a beautiful plant? And people came and wanted to look at our beautiful plants. You know, more and more though, we are focused on the healthy ecosystems that sustain those plants. We know from all scientific investigation that ecosystems are under threat. We speculate that perhaps as many as 30–40% of all plant species today will be extinct by 2050. So we're ringing the alarm bell on this. We have an educational mandate. We do our best to focus on that, and we try to teach people, hey, if you like these plants, you better think about what we're doing with the planet and the way in which we can actually have an effect on the ability of those plants to survive in the real world, which is out there in the wild. Now, this new building that we have, it's beautiful, it's exciting and all that, but it springs from our philosophy. Our philosophy is plants are essential to all life on Earth, and those plants won't survive unless we live more sustainably, and that green building is an expression of that mission and mandate that we feel we have.
So as we know, many German botanists of a couple centuries ago, they were leading in botany. And do you have any German inspiration in your life?
Well, I can say that when I first got going in this line of work, and I can say I was still asking myself, do I really want to do this full-time forever and ever? And well, obviously, you know what my decision was, but I worked under someone in Toronto who had been trained at the Botanical Garden in Hamburg. And if anyone really inspired me to love nature more, to learn more about the things that make our natural world come together and work, it was him. And he was a beekeeper on top of everything else. So it wasn't just he was a plant nerd. We're all plant nerds in a way. But he was a beekeeper. He was a tremendous inspiration to me. And he had come through the old European apprenticeship system. And he had such an interesting story. He started out as a butcher. The family pushed him into being a butcher, and he kind of ran away from that. Ended up at the Botanical Garden in Hamburg. And along with Hans was another gardener who was Polish. Again, that old system which really has pretty much disappeared in the world. You know, you actually train for 7 years before you are yourself a master. That system produced incredibly talented people.
It's true.
And we were lucky that so many of them emigrated to Canada.
Since I've been in Vancouver, that's now 3 years ago, I've noticed this trend of urban gardening, that people are actually encouraged to have these vegetable gardens everywhere. How do you like that?
It's a wonderful thing. It's how we really connect with more and more people here at our garden as well. We can teach people how to do it. So many people have grown up in an urban environment. Perhaps they grew up in an apartment building. No connection with the soil, and they can come here and learn how to do that. Well, whether you come to Van Dusen for inspiration or not, just about anyone with a little bit of soil and a little bit of know-how can grow things that they will appreciate so much more because they've done it themselves. Their kids are usually thrilled to get their hands dirty, of course, and the food usually tastes better, fresh to your plate. There's a lot that happens here. There's a lot that occupies me of a creative nature. We have art exhibits here. We have musical performance. I have an opportunity to kind of do a bit of everything. Fortunately, I'm not making the art or or performing the music. You find the experts, the talented people who can do that.
So what's the most exciting upcoming art exhibit now for this summer, for instance?
Well, we have more and more been pursuing sculpture as something very, very, I don't know, I won't say unique, but sculpture looks best outdoors. I've done a little bit of study here, and you'll hear experts say you need to have sculpture with air around it in a garden setting. Perfect. So we've done some traditional sculpture here, and we have a bit of a reputation for that. This year, though, we are doing what we call earth art. Earth art is environmental art. The artists come, they take materials from nature, and they create sculpture that is not really intended to last for a lifetime, or perhaps it doesn't even last overnight. You create temporary or ephemeral sculpture, and you do so with a real sort of humility or even reverence, if I could say, for nature. It's art that doesn't intend to impose itself on the world.
Harry, thank you so much for this wonderful afternoon in the Van Dusen Botanical Garden. I have one last question for you. If money weren't an issue, if you had a big budget, what would you change and implement first here?
You know, I inherited a garden that was almost perfect, and of course I would say that as the director, but you know, Roy Forster, our first director, Bill Livingston, the superintendent of Park Board, between them created something so beautiful here. I feel much of what I need to do in this garden today is actually to restore some of that original creative design. And I don't need to bring much new to this garden, although if I had a bunch of money, I would definitely put it into better education programs. We have excellent programs. Boy, if we had more money, we'd do that even better. Beef up the education, beef up the things that make this garden sing to the people who come to it. That is, we have wonderful messages here. People should hear more about what we do. You can walk around this garden and just enjoy the nature. You know, you don't need to hear a message, but you know, it's our opportunity to tell people, not only is this beautiful, but you know, if you appreciate this beauty, you should understand that you can't take it for granted. How you live will actually affect what this garden and what the natural world around us will be in a generation, 2 and 3 generations from now. So yes, more money, more education.
Okay, we'll agree on that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wir hoffen, euch hat die Sendung gefallen und bitte nicht vergessen, liked uns auf Facebook, wir sind auch auf Twitter vertreten und wir haben eine eigene Website, AhornTV.com. Dort könnt ihr übrigens auch auf den Donate-Button klicken und uns unterstützen. Also dann, bis zur nächsten Woche. Tschüss.
Okay, hallo, ich bin Elke Porter und ich arbeite viel mit den Deutschen, und den Schweizern und den Österreichern zusammen in Vancouver. Ich hatte 3 Jahre lang ein Newsletter, West Coast German News, und ich mache auch den Swiss Herald Newsletter alle 2 Monate für die Swiss Society. Und ich habe jetzt einen Blog, das ist jetzt West Coast German News, ist ein Blog geworden, und dort schreibe ich viel, was los ist, was für Events es gibt, wann man die Deutschen auch sehen kann, wann sie Fußball spielen und alles, was mit Business zu tun hat. Ich bin ein Mitglied von der German Chamber of Commerce und der Swiss Chamber of Commerce.